Hey everyone, it's Levi. I am making a video to show you guys the map that I'm currently working on for Mountain Blade Bannerlord 2. This game is a strategy medieval fighting simulation game where you control armies and you basically fight against other giant massive armies with different factions and stuff that relate to different kinds of armies in like medieval history and stuff like that. So there's like horse people, there's knights, there's like Arabic traders, there's like the Mongolian horse people kind of stuff. There's like Vikings, like a Roman Empire kind of faction, and they all have different abilities and strengths and weaknesses. So the reason why I wanted to make this map is essentially I just wanted a map that I could kind of have fun with in like a custom battle. Essentially, in Mountain Blade, you can have like a custom battle where you can just set up a bunch of troops versus like another army, like one army versus an army, and just kind of have them work together. Um, I wanted to create like a little island slash swampy area for like one army to basically defend against a group of armies or like a bigger army, and it would make it very difficult to traverse through because it's kind of swampy. Like as you can see, like the water actually isn't very deep, so it kind of prevents you from walking through it because it slows you down quite a bit. So if I was to put like a castle like right here, I would essentially be able to sort of defend against like the troops coming in. And I don't really want to put like a big crazy castle or anything like that. It was just more of like essentially what I'm gonna put here is like a broken wall, which I have a few of these that I can take a look at. But yeah, it's just gonna be like a defensive battle map for whomever. So kind of how I did all of this is I started with basically just a square, and I kind of made it a certain size, and then started working on the elevation, which is kind of like a paintbrush. Hold on one second. I gotta get to. There we go. Elevation. So yeah, I basically started by making like these little mountains over here, made a or little hills, but a bigger mountain over here, and just kind of like encircled this whole map. So uh, everything's just kind of focused on the center. But I kind of modeled this after a place I had been before. I used to live in California, and one of the mountains I used to hike had an old dried up lake. But when it rained, it would fill up and it would kind of like be like this. But the rest of the year, it would like have like dry grass and like reed and stuff like that. So it was just kind of modeled off of that place I'd been to, like in the Rockies. And there was lots of aspens and spruce and pine trees and stuff like that. And this different kind of texture on the ground just kind of reminds me of the chaparral kind of environment that it was, these bushes and stuff like that. I didn't actually individually place all these bushes and trees and stuff like that. These are all kind of like done in layers that I am able to adjust and work with, which I'll show you guys right here. Let's go to here. So there are my paint. So I showed you like how I built the hills and stuff like that. I can add like a rise. I can smooth it out. This is just the brush abilities. Noise to kind of make it random. But yeah, so these are my different textures. Essentially, I started with the mud valley ground rock, which is essentially this like muddy dirt stuff. Oh, and yeah, then I moved over to this more ground, which is here. Let me just remove that. I only did it on some of the hills, but just kind of gave them like a little bit of more texture to them that kind of look like ground. And then I added this last layer, which is what you see here, the green and the rocks and stuff like that, and the bushes and whatnot. And these are actually added by going here to you click on your paint layer, right? And I can actually change it to all of these different ones that are found in the game. I can make paths, I can make everything, essentially. But yeah, if I wanted to like actually not spend all the time doing environmental stuff and like making it ridiculous, I can actually add trees and stuff. Oh, do I want beech trees? I do not want beech trees. I want tree high mixed pine. That's better. Okay, yeah. So essentially here I can add a bunch of different like flora, so like different trees. I can change the colony radius, make them like really, really far apart. I can make them close together. I can change the weight, which basically throws a bunch more together. Same with the density. It just paints it on a lot harder, if that makes sense. And then we can take a look at the mud cliff one. I think I've got a few on this one actually. Yeah, I've got rocks. I've got reeds. I've got just different kinds of reeds, just to give it that kind of like, like hey, like it floods here sometimes, but also like stuff grows. Another thing that I've done on these on this is you can kind of see like how how the ground actually looks like there's like rocks and stuff. Like I actually didn't place those rocks, and these pallets are actually they're painted on, so these are actually flat. Um, but what I can do here is I can go down to lighting and I click parallax, and that parallax actually gives me a lighting effect that turns basically these things into like uh, real rocks in a way. It just gives them a little bit of a bump, and it's just kind of like reminiscent of the place that I've been. Just kind of reminds me of that. But yeah, I guess I'll just do a quick little search around here, just so you guys can see. I've got a few dead trees and stuff in here too, to kind of say that like, hey, like those trees were growing on some green grass, but now they're in a dead area. But yeah, this map could like hold thousands of little individual soldiers and stuff on it. Obviously, at the same time, it would run into some serious performance issues. But yeah, um, thank you for taking the time to check out this video. If you have any questions about how I've done this or anything about this game, if you want to get involved in like Mountain Blade modding or anything like that, like please let me know, because I could show you some like resources and stuff that I use. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video.